there, welcome to MagnetiK Mumma, the podcast where we parent with nervous system wisdom, soul-led grit, and zero shame. I'm Steph, a holistic nurse, writer, and a mum who is keeping it real in the chaos. I'm giving you permission to raise resilient kids without losing yourself, because when you thrive, your kids can too. So let's get into the messy middle and find our magic. Hey there, this is Steph, MagnetiK Mumma, coming to you today to echo a Substack that I wrote a few weeks ago called When Kindness Feels Like Judgment and the Quiet Comparison Between Mothers. And look, this might be triggering for some, and if it is, I challenge you to have a little stop and think, why is it triggering for you? But for others, you might feel like it's something you've also experienced. So what it was I went to this incredible event with just a small event organized by a group of incredible women, very passionate women, visionary women. And I was very involved and cohesively participating. And yet afterwards, this strange feeling of feeling small loomed over me. And it's so weird because it really shouldn't have. And I guess that's what I want to talk about today is, that everybody was so supportive and kind and caring and empathetic. And yet I still felt like I had to shrink. And I think it was because it made me feel safer to stay quiet. And like my little Frenchie, I just rolled over and asked for a belly scrub rather than, standing in my truth. And I did speak up in some sections, but, not fully. And that's okay too. Like I choose my audience. But the thing that I was feeling, which I reflected on afterwards, was this undercurrent of judgment. And their judgment, like maybe I should be doing this, maybe I should be doing that. And when I really thought about it, I think the truth is that it wasn't that they were really judging me. I was judging myself and comparing myself to them. And I think this is something that happens really frequently, particularly among women. I don't have makeup or eyeliner on. I've got a beanie and my active wear that I was supposed to do a workout this morning, and I sort of slept in and didn't. So, this is me showing up for the day, and I know that other women are hustling out there, getting ready, doing a gazillion things, getting their kids ready for school, making lunches, and then holding the fort at work or running companies or whatever. Don't get me wrong, like, kudos to those women who do that. That is powerhouse women. And I guess the thing is, I've been there and I've done that, and it has led me down a path of burnout and self-deprecation. So it works for some, but it doesn't work for everyone. And again, it's that comparison of, what I do compared to what other people do, and how they do it is different, and that's okay. But shrinking myself because other people are hustling and doing all the work, meanwhile I'm sitting here in my beanie doing a podcast and sleeping in. So it's just a different vibe. And I tell myself over and over again, it's okay. But when I put myself in situations with incredible visionaries and incredible humans, a part of me really wants to be that as well. And yet, here I am in a beanie, in my activewear, no makeup. So the comparison trap happens. And it's been a journey for me in exploring that and what it means for me. And for me, what I have learnt and how I manage this comparison trap is just to reflect. And I reflect hard. Like, I probably, you know, how people hustle for work. I like hustle for personal development. I hustle for self-reflection. I hustle for how can I be the best version of myself. And I've done the 3 jobs with 2 little kids thing before. I've run companies with 2 little kids, and held a government job. I've done that. I've been there and I've done that, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't fill my cup. It didn't fill my heart and my soul. It definitely helped me grow, and it challenged me to expand my thinking and my awareness, but it didn't necessarily fill my cup. So I'm a hustler for self-development. I'm a hustler on how can I be the best version of myself, because I know deep down, having spent 10 years working with kids, 20 plus years in the healthcare system as a registered nurse, going off and studying psychology, living out in the bush with Indigenous mob and connecting with the land as much as possible, traveling solo around the world, into cultures and countries I had no idea about, and walking in my Birkenstocks through the mountains of the Eastern Ghats in India, through tribal lands. Like, I've done some pretty cool shit, right? And I've seen some incredible parts of the world, and I've also seen human nature in all its various forms. And you know, I'm a student of the universe. I'm always learning and I'm always curious. So, my jam is to hustle in and reflect and find out how I can be the best version of myself. So when things like this, of me going into a group of beautiful humans and feeling small, it's triggering, right? And I can't help feeling like I'm comparing myself to them when their stories are totally different. And it's something that happens so frequently in our culture, in Australia, in parent circles, So what I was reflecting on in my Substack is that those triggers are, or those feelings of comparison are triggers to be explored and to find out why I'm reacting this way when I'm a credible person and I've worked really hard in my life and I have achieved some of the most remarkable achievements. And maybe I don't stand up and get awards on stage and shout it from the rooftops, and that's okay because that's not my vibe. And other people do, and I fully celebrate them, and I sing hallelujah to them because that's their journey and that's what they need. And I have to be very conscious about what's my journey and what I need, and not get sucked into comparing myself to others. And I think it is something that we do as parents. So, it's a challenging space to be in because the world is busy, our lives are busy, our kids are busy. But I really, really believe in taking time, at least 5 minutes a day, to check in with yourself, do some deep breathing, and really reflect on what is triggering you and where is it coming from. And then finding ways to rewire, reprogram, and get yourself into a state where if you are in those situations, like for me, if next time I go into a circle like that, hopefully I won't be as triggered or feeling as small because I've been able to reflect and work on it. But then it's also a little bit about exposure therapy. Like the more you do it, the less triggered you become. So it's even just having that awareness, because awareness is always key, right? As soon as you become aware of it, that's like half of the job done, you know. But then the other half is working on it so that it no longer causes you to freeze or shrink or feel like you're not good enough and spiral into this comparison trap, as I've been calling it. So it's a little bit about like Dr. LaPera. She does this great book. If you haven't read it, you need to, like, seriously, how to do the work. Come on, people, get out. It's hard and it's tough, but this has been my Bible for the last few years. She really challenged you to look at how you were conditioned and how you can reparent yourself so that when you are triggered, you have tools and exercises, or you know how to create space so that you can process that emotion and that trigger and work through it, and not let it be a reaction, but you get to choose your response. So the comparison trap is a signal. It's like a signal to you to check in and find out why you're being triggered. So there's a few things that I do when this happens, and it's breathing, because I mean, we all breathe, right? Breathing is a natural process. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Breathing is a process that we do automatically. Like, you don't even notice you're doing it, right? But once you tune into how you breathe, it can actually change the cellular structure in your oxygenation, how your brain is nourished from your deep breaths, and it then works with your vagus nerve and interconnects in lots of different ways to help you calm your nervous system. And then that gives you space to sort of name the wound. Like, what part of me, what old part, what childlike part of me is feeling this emotion right now? Like, and then holding the mirror up and taking a big deep breath and looking at yourself, and try not judging it, just looking, acknowledging it, recognizing it, but don't judge it. It's the hard part, honestly. And then give yourself compassion, not correction, compassion, because choosing compassion, giving yourself that space to be triggered but not judged for being triggered, is an act of compassion. So practicing that more and more and more as you feel these triggers coming up. And then just letting it go. And it's almost an act of forgiveness. It's like, oh, I forgive you for feeling this way. It's okay to feel this way. It's normal to feel this way. It's natural to feel this way, but you don't need to hang on to it, and you can let it go. I'm not trying to make it sound easy, because it's not, but it is something that you get better at as you do more of. And I find doing more of that builds up deeper awareness. And, you know, we're all multi-layered beings, and we pretty much wouldn't be here if we were perfect. So for me, life is just like this ongoing layers that we're removing to open up, remove to open up. It's, you know, like the flowers. We hibernate and then we bloom. Our roots grow deeper, our trunks grow stronger, and we flower again. And then we lose our leaves, and then we sort of hibernate and recalibrate. And then once the sun comes out, we're nourished and flourish again. So it's just a cycle that we can go through and get better at as we practice more. So the other part that comes along with the comparison trap that I find very fascinating is this feeling of jealousy. So for me, I am often triggered to feel jealous of really, really successful women. And the reason I'm really jealous is because I really want to be one. And I feel like the harder I try, the less successful I am. But when I see these women who have worked hard and have hustled and have gone through through all the hoops and loops, and then they're standing up and receiving their award and being acknowledged for their incredible work, I celebrate them, but I also have this pang of jealousy. Like, part of me wants to be that. So I use that jealousy these days. I didn't used to. I use that jealousy these days to, again, like the triggers, sit down and be like, okay, so if that's what why is that triggering me? Is that what I really want? And most of the time it's not, but an old part of me did. And so it's the process of healing that wound. And again, it's the awareness, it's the breathing through, it's the acknowledgement, it's the then letting go, and then just doing it over and over and over again. And sometimes it's still triggering, but the reaction within me is less and less each time. So, jealousy is another thing that I find in the parenting world. Parents can be really triggered when other kids or other parents are super successful more than them. And then, there becomes this comparison trap of, we do this and we have that, and my kid does this and my kid does that. And it can be really triggering. I mean, I still find myself a bit triggered, but my reaction now is much less. And when I do find myself triggered by those types of things, I take a big, deep breath and check in, like, is that what I really want? Like, or is that an old part of me that once upon a time wanted those things? So, I feel like it's a normal human response, but it's also our responsibility, particularly as parents, to practice processing these things and then demonstrating them through our practices and sharing them with our kids, right? Because our kids will model us the most if your kids live with you and you're in that type of setting. But, and even if it's not your kids, it might be the ripple effect, right? Like, practicing kindness and compassion on yourself is super key to practicing kindness and compassion to others. And if you're more kind and compassionate to others, maybe you need to start being more kind and compassionate to yourself. But the ripple effect starts on the inside and ripples out. So you send out those vibrations into the earth. And if that sounds woo-woo, go check some research and science around the contagion theory, and what you put out, you get back in. And again, that sounds cliche, but look at Buddhist theory, Buddhist philosophy. It's all about filling up your cup and taking care of yourself and regulating yourself and acknowledging what is triggering you so that you can choose your response rather than just automatically react. And when that happens, the energy around you changes, and then the people's responses to your energy change. And that goes for your kids, that goes for your clients, that goes for your customers, that goes for your community. And so I find the comparison trap is a very useful trigger for you to go in, have a look around in your emotional world and landscape, and work through the layers of why it's triggering you and how you can let it go and move on to the next layer, because there will be another layer, because it doesn't stop. The waves keep rolling, the layers keep peeling. So yeah, the comparison trap. If you want to read more about it, check out my Substack, MagnetiK Mumma. This is the podcast, MagnetiK Mumma, and I'm Steph. And if you feel called to do so, subscribe and join our community, and we can create self-regulation and tools to move through these triggers so that we can hand these tools over to our kids and they can find ways to thrive. So thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the MagnetiK Mumma podcast about the comparison trap. I'm Steph, your host. If you would like to connect with me, join our community, go to the MagnetiK Mumma Substack and send a message, become a subscriber, and join our community. We would love to see you there.